Hey guys, welcome to the channel, and in this case, I'll be reacting to this video from Pearl, Married Men Make Terrible Dating Coaches. Now, she makes some good points, she makes some terrible points, but at the end, you'll see how even this woman that specializes on content about dating, relationships, and she's mostly on the based anti-feminist camp, she still gets a bunch of important things so very wrong. And I think this happens to a lot of people. This is huge. This is one of the most serious problems we're facing, especially the newer generations. I mean, I have 3 boys, I have 3 kids, and they will be going through this themselves eventually. I think a lot of people find themselves lonely, incapable of finding someone else to live their lives with, forming a family, and it's because of things like these. So let's get through this and try to sort things out.
What's up, guys? Welcome to the Just Pearly Things YouTube channel, and welcome to Morning Coffee Thoughts, where I give my thoughts over morning coffee. Today, I'm going to be talking about why I actually don't think it matters if you're married or not to give marriage and relationship advice. Now, before I start, I'd like to say on this channel, that's not typically what I do, so don't misconstrue as that is me saying you should listen to me about it. But what I wanted to say is what I realized when I first got into the manosphere. I would hear Kevin Samuels talk, and something about the way he spoke, it just rung like true to me. And some of it was triggering, some of it I denied at first, but I would just listen to Kevin Samuels talk. And I thought a lot of what that man says is correct, whether I like it or not. But Kevin Samuels had been divorced 3 times.
Okay, huge red flag there. Do all married men give great advice? Of course not. Now, someone that is giving advice about relationships and marriage and has been divorced 3 times, I would definitely not listen to him at all. I mean, do you either care about being married? Do you care about having a long-term relationship? Do you care about forming a family? And you got it wrong 3 times? I mean, getting divorced is as common as it gets. Unfortunately, for a lot of people, it's one of the things that's the most hurtful. I mean, fortunately, I haven't been there. I've been married happily over 20 years, 3 great kids, wonderful wife. So I'm all good in that aspect. And I understand that there's a lot of luck, but there's a lot of you involved. And the idea that someone that has gone through this 3 times and still cannot get it right, maybe he's not the right person to be giving advice. This is someone giving advice out of about something he has not managed to figure out himself. How could you possibly use that for your own benefit?
And I began to question, maybe people shouldn't listen to him. I mean, he's divorced, right?
3 times.
And I'd like to say why it doesn't matter. Because for a relationship to be in order, it needs 2 things. The man has to run it, and the woman has to look up to the man and desire him and want to be with him. The man also needs to want to be with her, but it's not nearly as important. And what you realize is there are men that have been married 20, 30, 40, 50 years that have been letting their wife run the relationship for a lifetime. And so what I found is that typically the people that are more humble about it, like the people that, say, this is just what worked for me, tend to be better relationship coaches and give a little bit more practical advice, where the ones that are like, it's weird, they almost make them being like married part of their brand. It's completely weird. And you'll see it, like Matt Walsh's wife did this to me, where she's
right,
like,
now I know where, and this is the part where she's actually right. The guys that make it like a holier than thou thing, right? Is it the most important thing in your life? Absolutely, no doubt about that. For a guy like me, my family is by far the most important thing in my life, no question about that. And notice how I'm thinking of my family. That's what you do with your wife. That's what you do when you start a family, right? Now, people that brag about these sort of things, and especially when they're like famous people, influencers, YouTubers, or whatever the hell it is, sometimes you see through this shit, through the bullshit. I can think of right now of Crowder, right? Steven Crowder, always fucking going on about how holier than though he is, and you just knew the guy was a douche already, and I don't care. He was like how hot his wife is and how much of a saint he fucking is, dude. Enough. And then the truth. Then a video leaks of him treating his wife like shit, which this is maybe something that Pearl gets a little bit confused there. No, treating your wife like shit does not make you a good man. It's actually overcompensating for probably a lack of security on yourself and being selfish, childish, and a narcissistic asshole. And it is true that sometimes women are a little bit more attracted to that. If you're gonna be going for one or the other, usually women tend to be a little bit more attracted to the asshole because it seems to be like stronger character. Now there's degrees to all of this, and yes, if you're a total simp, you're not attractive at all. That's what happens to a lot of guys. Being an asshole, maybe you get a little bit lucky, but is it nice to live with someone that is really an asshole? No. You have examples like the one I just mentioned.
Married 10 years, and I'm thinking like, bitch, sorry, she seems nice, but I'm like, lady, I know people that have been married 20, 30, 40 years, and I would not trade places with them.
True.
Because they are so miserable.
Right.
And
it's not like having a record. I mean, you've been married 5, 6, 10, 20 years. Are you actually happy? Is it great for you? Is it okay? And there's people that will tell you, yes, my marriage was a nightmare all the time, or it had a few good moments and then bad ones. It was great at first, and then it got a lot worse, right? You will find people like that. It is certainly not common for people that say, yeah, best thing ever, 20 years later, 30 years later, and dying holding hands or whatnot. That is definitely rare, but it's not just a matter of luck. It's about finding someone that you actually love and loves you back, and you love your family above everything else, because there will be tough times, no question about that. Honestly, I can't say I've had very tough ones, little bullshit things like normal people with character do. And that's where she's right again about, people in relationships where it's always one-sided. Someone that is always completely dominated by the other. And she seems to think that a good relationship is a man completely dominating and controlling a woman. That is a fucking pain in the ass. I do not understand how any woman can live with people like that. I've known people like that. I've known men like that are controlling freaks. And that actually speaks of a lack of self-security and lack of confidence. There's people like that will want to control every little thing. I don't think it's good.
That's the tough thing, is until you learn to pick out what makes a relationship look in order, you really don't know how to tell the difference. So when you're younger, you have people like Matthew Hussey giving advice. Now, Matthew Hussey is getting married. He's probably going to stay married, but Kevin Samuels probably gave better advice than Matthew Hussey. Steve Harvey gave the worst.
Did he really? 3 times divorced? Really? He hasn't figured out?
Advice ever. And, Steve Harvey gave the worst advice ever. And he was married. So it's really confusing out there who to listen to and who to not listen to. Obviously, this doesn't mean everyone, but a couple things that I noticed of how to tell a relationship is in order, more traditional. One is, does he have to ask his wife for permission to do things, or can he just do it? I had a tweet go viral earlier this year where I said, let me ask my wife, with a barfing emoji. That, to me, the equivalent of that is, let me ask my child.
And here is why she's here is why she's single. She thinks that a woman is a child, which is not. I've done videos about this woman before. She looks like a nice person, but she just does not understand what healthy relationships are. She thinks that being anti-feminist means that a woman. No, a woman is a woman, a man is a man. We're very different. We are, of course, all people. And yes, there's many things in which, yeah, I have to ask my wife. Honestly, there's many times in which I have to ask my wife because I have no fucking idea what I'm being asked about. I just don't take care of that. And that's exactly the way it should be. Let me explain. When you form a family, your role as a man is not the same as your wife's role. As a woman, she will be taking care of other things. And the woman is the one that takes care of the cave or the nest if you're a bird, or the house if you're a human being. You do not go into controlling every little aspect of your life. You do not. Women are the ones that decide most of the purchases. And you know why? Because men don't give a flying fuck about many of these things. And that's exactly the way it should be. Let me tell you one more thing. If your husband cares a whole lot about what color the pillows on your bed are and how many of them there are, then your husband is probably attracted to other guys. There's a lot of that too. Guys that obsess over things that are attractive to women really are not examples of great guys or great fathers, because they're doing something that's not naturally what guys are supposed to do. So certain things, yeah. And then there's others like, no, I don't even have to ask my wife. I know this is the right thing. And yes, that's exactly how it should go. And the same goes the other way around. There's many times that my wife comes and this or that, or I have no idea. And that's how you behave as a team. A marriage is a team, right? You're taking care of the family. That's what you're doing in this very specific team.
I ask my child what we're going to do because, you could talk to her, but really and truly, the final decision has got to be on the guy. And the second thing is, could he move across the country?
Imagine, again, nice person, but imagine how exhausting it would be for Pearl's theoretical husband. She doesn't have one, but if you are married to this woman, you have to take care of everything. What is that you buy for the kids? What are you gonna have for lunch? Even stuff like planning things. Again, most of the purchases, most of the decisions of buying stuff, and most of these things fall in the realm of the wife. They are deciding many of these things. That's why it's very important for you as a man to find yourself a good woman that will make the right decisions. It is not what she thinks it is. She thinks it's about a guy doing everything and treating you like a child or a person that has some mental deficiency. And it's a fucking nightmare. Who could possibly want to be married with someone like that? No offense, but you see where she gets stuff wrong.
Say, I'm going to uproot my entire life. I want you to come with me. Will she just say, okay, I support you and I trust you? Okay, another one.
That's where she's, this is things we've actually done. There's been moments in our life where I said, you know what? We're doing this. And if you have a good wife, she says, and she's not a child, she thinks it through as well. She says, you know what? I trust you. Let's go and do this. And we uproot our entire lives and move to a completely different country just like that, right? Not exactly just like that, but kind of. You do your research, stuff like I've talked so many times in the channel. You need a wife that trusts you when it comes down to making these important decisions. I'm not going to be picking the pillows or curtains or sofas or a bunch of things that it's not what I'm really all that. Now, there's roles that a man has to do. If there's something goes bump in the night, you are the one that is expected to go out there and put yourself in danger. If there's actually something dangerous out there, you are the one that has to provide and take care of your family, right? And maybe you have a relationship where both of you share different responsibilities to one degree or another, but usually it is the case, the more natural thing, that the wife is the one that looks after the nest, the family, the kids, the house, the place in which you are. That is their more natural role.
When they ask the couples questions, who answers? Does she answer or does she look to him to answer? Is the house...
School meeting, fuck no, I have no idea, right? I go every once in a while. I like to be somewhat involved, but she's the one taking care of that. I'm not. I don't even go to most of those things, right? And that's exactly as it should be. Now, there's couples in which it's completely different. The wife is the one that is mostly, a career, and the guy is the one that I don't think is the most natural thing. It could work because we are not animals; we're thinking beings, and you can make a decision. But it's maybe the thing that doesn't come most naturally to most couples.
It's decorated how he wants it or how she wants it. Do they eat the food that he likes or that she likes? And so it's like interesting because you'll have these people. Relationships are
again. She gets the house has to be decorated by a guy. Lady, you married a gay dude. If he's looking at little details on house decoration and I've worked in architecture myself before. I know how this goes. And there's guys that will obsess over little decoration things. There's others that will look at other aspects. But if that's the thing your husband is looking at, maybe you have other issues to be worrying about. Your house decorated. Look at the fucking mess that I have behind me. This is me on my natural state. You think I want to live like this? Do you think that any guy wants to live in? I mean, if you're going to be having a gun room, it's not exactly a nicely decorated place, right? The entire house does not have to be like that. I don't want to live in a house that way. I don't want to be in a bedroom that I decorated with the same concern that I have for my working environment or a place where you just keep tools and guns. So those are the things that, yeah, I'm more than happy with someone that is more naturally inclined to do a good job doing that, taking care. She wants someone that basically rules her life, and that is not gonna be making life easier for the other person.
Interesting, they're an interesting point of life because you'll have people that maybe were married 20, 30 years, but I mean, you can't say it's unsuccessful if they're still married, I guess. But
again, she's wrong here too, because yes, you can say it's unsuccessful. If you've been married 20, 30 years, just on that alone doesn't mean you're successful in terms of your relationships. You may have been living in a horrible, tortuous disaster of a relationship, and simply because you're a coward, you just didn't pull the trigger on that thing. You didn't eject when you maybe should have. So just taking shit for 30 years does not make you a hero, and definitely does not make that a successful relationship. Okay? There's no merit in that. Now, you're telling me you've been happily married 20 years? Fuck yeah, good for you. Congratulations. You figure it out.
I don't think most people would envy it if the woman's running the relationship. Because what you see with those guys is they become a shell of themselves. They really become like little bitches, you know?
Yeah, and there's a lot of that too. There's running the relationship, right? It has to be a shared thing. There's different aspects of the said relationship. The guy would be like the guy is the general. The guy is the captain of the storm, right? The guy, when things go fucking, that's when you have to absolutely take control of things, and there has to be no question whatsoever. And then there's other things where you both talk about and you come up with a mutual agreement, or between the two of you, you find what you believe works best. And there's things that your wife takes care of, and there's things you take care of, right? Usually that's the way it goes. But the idea of having your wife decide absolutely everything for you, of course, that's as much of a shitty relationship as one in which your husband decides absolutely everything, even the kind of clothes that you wear. And there's guys that are like that. There's guys that are absolute control freaks and insecurity, whatever the reason is. But I've seen those, I've seen both, and none of those are what I would consider successful relationships, or relationships I would like to be involved in any way.
We'll just bitches, you know. And I don't say this in a happy way, but, you know, this is why, you know, that point, it's really just a moot point. It's really not about that. You know, the question is the information correct? And when I first got into, you know, the manosphere stuff, I would listen to like Donovan Sharp.
Manosphere, that word.
And I thought he was kind of nuts. Like, he would tell me things, he had this course called like Womanese, and when she says this, she means that. And I was like, you're kind of overthinking it, Donovan. That doesn't mean anything, whatever. A couple years later, I had to get some like real life experience, interviewing chicks, interviewed 1,000 women, paying more attention to what women do versus what they say. And honestly, Donovan was right. Like, when a girl says you're such an asshole, he said, that means she wants to screw you. And I was like, no, maybe he's just a dick. And I was like, then I find out women love dicks. We love assholes.
Yeah, and usually that's because especially in the way society is today, you being a normal guy, you're a toxic masculine guy, or you're violent, or you're just too aggressive, or you're an asshole, which basically means you're a normal dude that has somewhat character, and you speak clearly and without beating around the bush. That is what for many people today is, oh, you're an asshole, or you're just too confrontational. No, you're just a normal ass dude. And that, even though it's considered maybe assholey or a bit of a jerk, at the end of the day, it's what women naturally tend to gravitate towards. Now, there's extremes to that as well. There's so many cases of women that gravitate towards real, completely, absolute assholes, pieces of shit that are violent, that treat them like shit. Yes, but that's also a manner of toxic relationship on the side of the woman.
But the problem is, like, we live in this delusion. Like, most women don't live in reality. So we'll hear things that are completely true, but we're so self-centered that we're not really paying attention to the world. We're paying attention to ourselves. Until at 37, reality hits us in the face. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But yeah, this is why I want to talk about dating coaches. I honestly think I have gotten more useful information from divorced or single men, not women. Women are just going to lead you down a destruction typically, than I've gotten from married men.
You know what I think that is? It's like the same reason why many shrinks are insane themselves. These are people that make their job out of the things that they worry about because they haven't figured it out themselves. So maybe there is something to it, but at the same time, that's usually why most of that advice probably sucks. A guy that hasn't figured out how to have a successful relationship himself will it's not likely that he will have great advice or been divorced a bunch of times.
Dating coaches. That's the crazy thing. Like, I probably got more useful information from single men versus from married men, because most married men are kind of bitches. I'm sorry, they're going to clip it. I don't care. Most of them are. Because they won their training.
Most men today are very much, on the bitchy, sensitive side, married or unmarried. That's the way, unfortunately, things are these days. In the same way, women are, very leaning these days mostly on the men hating, feminazi mentality that it makes it impossible for them to have successful relationships. I think that's today, like in general, for most of the society.
Train of thought was always what she wanted. So they're always thinking what she wants, how she feels.
Yeah.
When really, the guy has to think about himself first. We hate it when you think about us first.
No, that's that's honestly never been the case. Men always sacrifice themselves. It's historically been like that. It's the fucking lion that, oh, the lion is not working. The lionesses are the ones hunting and gathering. The lion just sits there. No, the lion is waiting and looking around and keeping everything safe. And if someone has to die in a fight, it will be the fucking lion that dies first. If people have to die in a war so as to protect people like our pal here, Pearl, it's going to be guys that will die first. It will be thousands and thousands and hundreds of thousands, millions of men that will die so as to protect the family, so as to protect the tribe, the country, or whatever it is. So, again, I don't mean to be a jerk, but she gets it so wrong on such crucial things. No, men are not thinking about themselves. When women, and I know that's not her case, but when women talk about the patriarchy, what the fuck are you talking about, you crazy lady? Men are the ones that do the most dangerous jobs. Men are the ones that put themselves in danger. Men are the ones that will not happily, but simply accepting the reality of nature as it is and has existed for millions of years on all living creatures. Men are the ones that will sacrifice themselves so as the tribe has a chance of surviving, because the women and the kids will live while they die for their own behalf. So no, they're not putting themselves first. No, a man that puts himself first all the time will be a fucking terrible husband. Absolutely no question whatsoever. You as a good man, you will put your family first, your kids first, and yes, your wife before yourself. That's why you're the one that goes with a gun and puts yourself in danger if something goes bump in the night. You are the one that carries the burden of providing, of making sure shit it stays afloat. And you try to carry that on your own shoulders as much as you can and not putting that on your wife.
I mean, we might complain, but, we hate it deep down. And so a lot of married guys just want to get the first girl that they can find and just, go to church, marry her.
Yeah, I know that's...
And from what I've seen, that doesn't really work.
No, of course it doesn't. The first woman that, the first woman that gives you any attention or likes you, or the first woman that falls in love with you, no. It kind of sucks if that's not who you see yourself with, and it's just a one-sided thing. But it has to be someone that you know for sure. Yes, this is first of all, and all of these dating coaches, and including Pearl herself, they never talk about actually loving the other person. Do you love your wife? Do you love your husband? Do you love the person you're dating with? No, we're just trying to figure out, well, maybe that's a no start to begin with. You don't love the person you're with? What are you even doing? Oh, no. And they always try to tick boxes, like... physical attributes, how good looking someone is, how tall someone is, income. These are the things that all of the red pill dudes and coaching relationship people, they tick on all of those boxes. They fucking never mention, do you love the person you're with? No, that's not a thing. Really? That should be the main thing, right? Besides that, yes. Besides you being attracted to that person, not just physically, but also emotionally. You really like being with this other human being, right? Besides that, do we have the same goals in life? And for you, someone looking for a husband or a wife, it has to be family. Family will go beyond me, what I have to do for fun, what I have to feel, so as to feel like a complete woman, like an empowered woman. Not really empowered, but the bullshit version of that you're being sold today, which is whoring around and having a bunch of random dudes and, being a professional, which at the end of the day, working all day long in an office, really... That's the empowering thing? Of course not. That's a bullshit you've been lied to and made believe just so as to make you happy with the decision that you no longer have, which is you have to work for a living, both of you, because if not, the way the economy runs these days, it's unsustainable.
Even if they stay married, the guys are kind of feminine, And I don't,
some are,
mean this in a rude way, but even I watch Matt Walsh and his wife interact. They're cute. I hope they stay together. But, she looks like she runs that relationship.
I know who Matt Walsh is. Haven't seen. Again, it's a little bit like the Steven Crowder. They're trying too hard, right? They're trying too hard, trying to be something mostly for the influencer social media thing, the job thing that they do. At least in my experience, when someone tries so hard, it's because they have to, or they are insecure in certain other things.
That's how it appears to the viewer. Ben Shapiro, he talks about how
fucking Ben Shapiro.
What did he say? He said, he'll always brag about his wife. His wife's a doctor, and then he'll also say I begged, she wasn't ready to go out with me, and I had to basically convince her for a couple months. Oh, that's a bad sign.
Yeah.
Now, I'm not saying they might stay together. I don't know. But that's still out of order. That's out of order. Women are happiest when we're obsessed with you, not the other way around. We don't like
that. She's right about that. And yeah, those guys that she just mentioned, I absolutely see that. But it doesn't mean that you immediately go for following the advice of the 3 divorces guy, right? I wouldn't take advice on marriage and relationships from Ben fucking Shapiro, neither would I from the guy that failed 3 times at forming a family. So, maybe try to follow the advice of people that not only have been married for a number of years, but are actually happy with. And honestly, you see it. I mean, I see it. I've seen people that were getting married, and that will not fucking work. That is a horrible idea. Don't do that. And they just go and do it, and it sucks. And it's exactly because of everything that I've been talking about so far. They have these fucking relationships in which they're going with someone that will make them miserable, and they don't see it themselves. They don't see it. They think that they're gonna be happy with that obviously toxic relationship, or with that unhealthy couple dynamic that they clearly have even when they're dating.
I like it when the men are obsessed with us. And truly, if a girl wants to be with you, she'll get on a plane, she'll get on a boat, she'll do anything. She'll get there to be with you. So the problem is, in my opinion, such a small percentage of marriages and relationships are in order, because most of us were not raised to do that. Most of us were not raised to be wives, not raised.
She's right about this too, especially if you come from a broken home. You don't even know how that is supposed to be. If your parents are divorced, well, that's normal. That is already on your cards. On your deck of cards, there's always that, I will just... And it is hard. It is not easy. Even in the most successful marriage and family you can think of, there's times in which you have to put the family above your own person. If you only care about your own little bullshit, it's going to be always you, you will have no chance in hell of having a successful marriage or a good family. But if that's what you were brought up with, that's what you saw your mother and your father do, you will replicate that as well. So it's about behaviors that you're observing and copying.
Raised to be mothers, not raised to be masculine fathers. So none of us really know what we're doing.
Some of us do, lady. Some of us do, but it's not easy. It's not easy, and you really must want it bad. You must want it more than you going out with your friends, or you having your own version of the successful career that you always wanted at the expense of doing what a good husband or a good wife would actually do. I mean, it's what you do. You sacrifice on personal things for the family. It's not about, because my wife says or because my husband says. No, it's because it's the right thing to do. And sometimes it's not convenient. And sometimes it's not what society, and especially with what the media tells you that is expected of you. You're actually expected to be a selfish piece of shit. That is a good thing these days. Not someone that really will sacrifice for a family, for a relationship, for a marriage. No. You have to only care about yourself. So you're kind of like rowing against the tide here.
So, I mean, that's my opinion on it, okay? I think the best dating coaches are single men. I really do. The non-simpy ones. There's a lot of simpy ones too, though, so, you know. But let me know what you guys think. Discuss in the comments.
Yeah, anyway, that's where it's at. So she gets a few things right. She obviously gets several things wrong. She gets some fundamental things wrong in terms of what a healthy dynamic, especially this thing of her about everything goes on the guy, because a woman, like she said, a woman is basically a child. Fuck no, you that's probably why you're still single at 35, even though she seems like a, like a nice person. But if you're expecting someone to take care of you like you're a child, you're not exactly great wife material. See you on the next video, guys. Take care.